Welcome friends, my name is Midnight Modesto. I'm with Supercharged Weasel Games and welcome to my devlog. Today I'll be working on adding enemy spawners to my Black Dust NFT inspired game. If you guys recall last time I imported enemy assets into the game and that kind of broke a lot of the work that I had done previously, but I was able to fix that. Essentially what I had to do is re-import some player character assets. Apparently there was some overlap between the two, but re-importing fixed all that. Let's take a look. The lighting is now fixed. Our character is animating correctly. And everything looks good. Alright. So now let's get into adding those enemy spawners. I'm going to turn the lights back on so you can actually see what we're doing. Show you guys the map. The idea here is I'm gonna have different components that players will have to go and grab different things and collect to be able to end the level. But within all of these areas, I'm going to add enemy spawn points, hopefully overlap enough areas that the player character has to get into some enemy frays and with like maybe some sort of boss battle at the end, but that boss battle may end up looking just like a crap ton of enemies, With that, let's go ahead and create a spawn point right about here in this corner. I'm just going to create an empty game object. I'm going to call this, I'll call it Evil Spawner. And then I'm going to add a collider here, and we'll turn this into a trigger. Maybe a sphere collider. Yeah. And I want that to have a fairly large radius. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be way too small. I want this to be, something like that, to give the player plenty of room to walk through. Let's go with 50. Yeah, that covers a pretty big area. And actually, I'm going to move it closer to our player spawn point. I think that makes more sense. But you get the idea. I want to have these all over the level. And like I said, we want this to be a trigger. We don't want our player character to run into that like a wall. Now we'll create the actual spawner. Let's put that over here. And I think what I'll do is I'll rename these. I'll call this one Evil Spawner. I'll call this one Spawn Point. Or Area Spawn. Maybe Spawn Area? Yeah, sounds good. Okay, now that I've got that parented there, I can just zero these out. Here we're going to need to add some scripts. I'll just leave that as default, that way we can test it fairly quickly. And I think I need an object pooler. Yeah, simple object pooler. what I'll put here in this game object is this is going to be anything that I want to be spawnable. And I've already created one of these. So I just need to take, where's my enemies? Take this biped droid. I think I'm going to use this one, but I don't want to use this particular one. I basically want to make a new prefab with a pullable object on it. I'll pull one out. Add that component. Pullable object. That basically tells the system that I can put him in a pool. And let's rename him so we know that. Create a new prefab. Delete that one out, and then over here in our equal spawner, we'll put him in that. And pool size 20. That just simply means that to save resources, the game will spawn up 20 of them, disable them, and so it's much more efficient to enable and disable those enemies rather than instantiate them every time, recreate them. That has a lot of overhead with it. Yeah, I think I'm good with all that. I need to add a script to this sphere collider. Just make sure that it knows when the player character runs into it. Let's see. This script I created before the stream. It's fairly simple. I can show you real quick while that's loading. Oh, that actually loaded fairly quickly, but you can see it's very simple lines of code. You know, a trigger event when you enter it, a trigger event when you're in it still, and a trigger event when you exit. And all they do is activate or deactivate the spawner. Alright, let's test. See, I'm getting some errors over there. But it did spawn. No, it definitely spawned. There's the spawn right there. Alright, well, that's clearly working. Since that's spawning bipeds, maybe I'll rename this to biped spawner. I'll call this biped spawn area. I'll create a prefab out of that. Zero this out. So that went by rather quickly. So what I figure what I could do, having them just spawn in the middle of nowhere doesn't make a lot of sense. So maybe we could add a model to show them coming out of something. I haven't looked into that, but I have some ideas. Let's go take a look and see what models we have. So here we go. I'm thinking something like this. That's kind of cool, but maybe not. There was another vehicle that I thought might work. Yeah, maybe it's this one. Delete that out. Yeah, maybe this could be broken in on its side. Something like that. Like maybe they hang out in there. They spawn out of that. And I think I want to increase the size of this. Let's see what that looks like. That's way too big. I say that is way too big. Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's a little too big. This a little bit and see what it looks like. I could see that. That probably might work. Let's try that. So I'm going to move this away a little bit. Thinking is we can add in one of these spawners onto this. Let's do this one. Try that, see what that does. Looks like I've got an error here. Make sure I've got this enemy spawner set up. Missing the character that we need to spawn. So add the spider bot in. They're spawning on the other side. I may have to move that. Yeah, let me move that forward a little bit. Because I'd like them to look like they're coming out of that little area there. Let's increase the number of spawned items. Change this to every 1 second with a max of maybe 3 seconds. That way they'll come out frequently, but not like overwhelmingly frequent. Happy with that. So another thing that we could do is we could change this so that I can destroy this spawn area. Let me do that. I think it'll let me do this. We'll find out. We'll call this spawn character. I want to add attributes that will let me destroy it. So let's add, this is kind of weird. I don't think you should probably do this, but this is gonna let me have the ability to destroy it, and turning this thing into a character. And it does have an animator, so we shouldn't have any issues here. The only thing is it won't move. We don't want it to move. So I'm gonna turn this into AI character 3D. What we'll do is we'll just not have any abilities or anything, so it'll just sit still. And by destroying it, it should destroy our enemy spawner as well. I'm just looking to see, is there anything I need to remove out of here? Character orientation, we're really not doing anything with that. So rotation mode, yeah, I'll just leave it as none. Let's try this and let's see if it'll let me shoot it. I don't have a collider on this. Orientation. And my bots are stuck in there. Alright, let's change this up a little bit. I'm just going to disable all these different attributes, and maybe that'll prevent it from rotating. Let me add a collider so it knows it's getting hit. Better. It's a bit much on the Y, I think. Take that down. I could probably mess with this forever, so I think I'm gonna call it good there. Let's extend this out. It's in the wrong direction. I think it's the Z that I want. A little bit more. We're almost there. Something like that. You know what? Good enough for now. Just gonna round these out. Now that we've got the box collider, let's see if it'll rotate again. One thing that I'm a little worried about is the ground collider. I wonder if it's going to shove this thing up. If so, I can shrink that down and adjust it. But it may push it out of the ground. Hopefully it doesn't launch it out of the ground. We'll see. Alright, that all looks good. Let's see if our characters are spawning like we think. They are, but I think what I was seeing was that they were on that collider. Let's see if we get any more spawned. Right, I think that's working. Nice. Let's do one last thing. Let's take a look at it without the lights. Alright, I think we're good. I think from here on out, what I'll do is I'll just place these in different areas and just reproduce it all over the map. I'll have different ones. I'll have the spider bots, I'll have the biped bots, and go from there. So I'm really excited about the progress that the game has made. I feel like things are really starting to come together. Next week, I'll focus on collectibles as we're shooting enemies, running around the level. We should be able to get collectibles, gather fellow mercenaries, and work towards the end of the game. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll see you on the next one.